Place to receive true stories, insight, and info of the spiritual realm from two multi-generational psychic mediums.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Spirited Connections with your hosts, Diane and Jacque.
Thank you for joining us today.
Mm-hmm.
We're excited about this show.
Yes.
One of our, things that we do most often here is crossing spirit over. So we're going to get into what do we mean by that and share some of our stories with you. So hopefully you'll stick around and listen in. We have some funny stories and maybe some sad stories as well.
A little more serious.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, so what do we mean by crossing spirit over? What do you think, Diane?
Basically, it's helping someone that's died. Have them return to home. To if you believe in heaven, whatever your belief is, but basically returning them to source.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just crossing them over, so that they're at peace.
Yeah.
So,
yep. I know we've personally been asked when people find out what we do in some of our spare moments, and definitely whenever Diane and I are together, this happens a lot.
yes.
Is why do some souls choose not to cross over or go home, go to heaven upon death?
Mm-hmm.
So there are many reasons about that. So some are like fear. They're fearful of what's going to happen. Maybe they thought maybe they weren't such a good person here on earth, and so they're fearful of what can happen. And others are very angry. Maybe the way they died, are very angry about that.
Or that they're angry that they died itself.
Yes. Yeah, they felt this wasn't the right time for them to die. They still had things they had to do.
Correct.
Do something they felt was really important maybe in their life, and that they had not accomplished yet.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And
guilt is another one. Some people feel guilty that they're leaving their loved ones behind. Maybe they were the breadwinner of the family, so they're worried that their family's not going to be taken care of. So they just feel a sense of guilt. Some people also we've experienced don't feel that they're worthy to cross over, that they need to stay here on the earthbound plane, that they're not worthy to cross over to, say heaven or, home. So that's another reason people like to stay earthbound.
Yes. It's always sad when we come across
yes,
spirit
very much so.
like that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the big one is love. So it can be they don't want to leave the earth plane because of their intense love for their family, or a romantic interest. And so they feel like they have to stay around. Maybe they feel responsible for that person's well-being and stuff. So that's a big one. It could also be maybe unrequited love.
Yes. Yes.
That they didn't see the fruition of here in their physical selves. So they're hanging around because of that.
Absolutely. One other thing that I wanted to bring up associated with fear. We talked about fear a little bit, but another reason, and we've experienced this, a person stays earthbound out of fear is because the person that may have harmed them on the earth plane is on the other side and they don't want to see them. They are, so they stay here. So that is, another thing that's associated with fear.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, if they were a victim from that person here, they definitely don't want to see them on the other side. Right? They're fearful of bad things happening. The continuation of that abuse on the other side.
Very much so. Yep. So,
Right. So we want to share some personal stories, I guess, of our years together working with spirit and helping spirit to cross over to go home. And this happened, I guess it started happening maybe 7 years ago, Diane. It's been a while.
It's been a long time.
Yes. We were doing with our spirit circle that we have like some seances, and it was just, inviting loved ones and stuff. And then it gradually became spirit was coming in that none of us had a personal connection with in this lifetime. And so this one evening, we had visitors, a group of a spirit join us, and we were all like just shocked about this. What is going on? And they said they are the Council of Light, and it was a group of six, three who presented themselves as females and three as males. And and when they show us their like clothing that they perhaps wore, it's not from any time recent.
No.
But nice clothing. It was, nice clothing that they wore.
Very
But
nice.
yeah, from several hundred years back at
Yes.
least.
Yes. Yep.
Yes. Anyways, they gave their backstory about how they were a circle similar to ours when they were living, and did seances, in their back parlor, and probably similar to your grandmother.
Yes. Yes.
Back in the day. Anyway, so they just stayed together once all of them had passed over, and formed what they called the Circle of Light. And they are helping those who are psychic mediums here on the earth plane, and to help them. I believe they have a couple other groups they help, but it felt that way. But anyways, it was shocking for us, and shocking, but it was something just really exciting for us as well. And so they're the ones who initiated more people to be sent to us for our assistance and getting them to cross over to go home. Man, it's just evolved over the years that now just whenever it's only Diane and I together, we are sent people, and we have stories to share about that. We are never alone.
No.
And not for long anyways. Maybe a few minutes before we get our first visitor appearing.
Yeah.
And Diane, would you like to share some stories even just doing this podcast?
Oh my goodness. Sure. So we will be trying to record a podcast, and our recording button will turn on, so it stops our recording. We've had our microphones literally taken off the table. So we just have spirit that is definitely wanting our attention. And one time, during the time that they had been shutting off the recorder, the woman, I heard her say, "Finally." So we were finally paying attention enough to them so that we would help them cross over. So, it just happens. There's not a time that we've gotten together that there has not been people that have come and wanted our assistance. So it's just like Jackie said, we're never alone.
We are never alone.
Never
we are
alone.
Currently not alone.
No.
One time recently, a woman stuck her head in the door of our office here and said, "Are you done yet?" And we were actively recording. So it was just so funny. It's just like, we have trying to compose ourselves, like we're not gonna start laughing at this moment, but it's just, patience, please. We have had just, when was that? Like 2 weeks ago, we could feel the energy from spirit really building up. They were being respectful of not intruding when we were recording. They stayed, but we could feel the energy building up, so we knew they were outside of the office. And so sure enough, when we finished and we opened our office door, it was like electrifying,
Yeah.
this energy. And when we stepped out,
Body's completely chilled,
Yeah.
completely chilled. And the number of people that were out there was unbelievable.
unbelievable. We've never had that many
No.
appear at once. We've
Mm-mm.
had several rooms full of spirit.
The house was full.
It was full. Every single place in this building was packed. And so some kind of distress call or something went out. I don't know, thinking that we're going to help them all right then. And unfortunately, we had to make the
Yeah.
sad announcement to them that, it takes a while and we
Mhm.
would not be able to help all of them right
Correct.
then.
Mhm.
So it's not to say that we have never helped them. After we're done doing our podcast recordings, we usually do at least one. We help one soul.
Mhm.
Several times, a couple times it's been more than that.
Mhm.
It all depends on their energy.
Yes.
See this, how intense their energy
Yeah.
is surrounding their death.
Yes.
Diane and I are fully open to experience what they have experienced in their death process. It makes it more clear to us exactly what has happened. And, it's best for us in that way to know how to help them more. And it's
Mhm.
similar to like when we've helped crime victims' families to find more information. Maybe the police haven't found everything that they needed. And so we have always been very open to experience what they have experienced in their death and dying process.
Mhm.
It's not for everybody. I know in our inner circle, we were the only two who allow that.
Mhm.
So it can be intense at times, just, the manner of death, whether it's self-harm or from someone else harming them.
Mhm. Very true.
Yeah.
Very
I mean,
true.
we felt, I guess my worst thing I'll say is maybe blood.
Yeah.
Just
Taste.
tasting it, blood in my mouth, because that takes a while for me to get that taste out of my mouth. So you could feel like gunshot wounds or stabbing and feel the
Mhm.
blood come rushing up into your mouth. And you could taste it. At least
Mhm.
we can. I mean,
Mhm.
we can't speak for other mediums. This is just how Diane and I are similar, that
Mhm.
we don't cut ourselves off. We're fully open and to the experience in order, we feel, in order better help
Yes.
the spirit.
Mhm.
And
Absolutely.
so whether it's good or bad, it's what we do. And so like, that's like the worst thing for me personally, is tasting that blood, because it takes
Yeah.
a while
It does.
to get that taste out of my mouth.
Mhm.
But there's been very loving, heartwarming stories.
Sure.
So we'll share some with you
Yes.
here.
Okay.
I guess.
One thing to say is we've helped souls from present time as far back as 200 to 300 years ago.
Mhm.
So it doesn't always have to be just people that have recently passed. And you ask once again, why are these people earthbound? And due to these different reasons, with the fear, the guilt, love, anger. So, and we find this out as we're in the process of helping them to transition. We'll get
Yeah.
more and more information. So that's why Jackie says that we're more open to, feeling or, experiencing physically what they've gone through, so that we can understand, help them to transition and make things easier for them to transition. So,
Yeah,
so.
I know. And it's, I know a few people, like a few friends that we talked to when we mentioned people from as far back 300 years ago, why they've been earthbound for
Mhm.
so long, when
Mhm.
normally, you think the soul would probably already be reincarnated again.
Mhm.
It's like what Diane said at the beginning, the anger, fear. There's so many different emotions that go in there. And, to them, it's just like a blink of time. It doesn't feel like our 300 Earth years, right?
Right.
So to them, it's nothing, but it
Right.
could just feel like it's only been a few days
Right.
since their body has died, right?
Yeah.
So
True. Very
it
true.
is
Yep.
it is sad. So I don't know. I guess we could talk about our very first person
Yes.
that we helped.
Yes. He was a young man in the Army. This is probably back in the 70s, I would say. He was our first man that would come and he would visit. He didn't originally, the very first time that he arrived, he didn't come out and say, hey, I want to be crossed over. He was more observant, watching what we were doing, seeing who we were, various things like that, before he eventually ended up being, crossed over.
Right.
He even, during one of my meditations, came and visited me. And I was very surprised because I didn't expect him. I'm in a meditation and he shows up and I'm just like, wow, okay, all right. So I felt personally during that, the fact that he came to me during the meditation, I felt a bit closer to the man just because of that. I just felt a more of a connection. So I experienced that. But if you want to tell a little bit more about his background.
Okay. So we were determining he was like in his later 20s. And like Diane said, he was in the Army and he showed up in his uniform.
Yes.
And so that's how, we were determining not only his service, but the time frame of his service based on the uniform. Yep. He gave first and last name. And he was very, very detailed about information upon, how he died, what had happened, and what was hushed about it because of that. It was a very sad, sad thing. And
yeah, it was.
Yeah. So anyways, he gave enough detailed information that one of us from our circle, who used to be a private investigator years ago, she used her skills and looked up information and found this man, his obituary from, like Diane was saying, 1970s. So that was really good. She did good in finding him. And so there was a photo of this young man and his obituary, and it just gave us all chills because it was matching exactly how he was appearing to us. And just a sad story of not being accepted in society, and which was the reason for his death. And
also guilt with his family.
Yeah.
He was hiding something from his family and he felt guilty. And he didn't feel that he was good enough to cross over. He felt he needed to be here.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It was very much felt like he was being sinful.
Yeah.
I guess,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Very much so.
So it was very sad. But yet heartwarming at the same time that we were able to help him. He did accept help from us. And he has actually been back a couple of times just to revisit us.
Yeah.
And so it's nice when we do see him and, we're surprised by his visit.
Yeah.
And so anyways, that was our very first experience.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
It was definitely. Yes. So
but we've let's see. I guess I will tell one experience. Was a little girl around 5 years old. And this was several hundred years back to 250 years ago, based upon the style of dress she was appearing in. And she didn't feel she was worthy of crossing over because she was blaming herself for the death of her parents and her siblings. And I can get teary-eyed. I just think about it. That she felt like it was her fault because she was
start video. I don't know. I think
Sorry, we had a little technical
Yes,
issue
little
there. I don't know.
I don't know what
We
happened.
disappeared. Sorry. Anyways, so this young girl, she was like putting more wood on their fire. They had like a little tiny one-room apartment for this family. And it was winter, so it had the fire going to heat their little space. She put more logs on the fire, and anyways, flames were thrown out, and it was quickly engulfed in flames, and there wasn't escape. So they all died. Her parents and siblings crossed over, and she stayed behind because she blamed herself, because she was the one that put that wood on the fire. And so she thought it was all her fault. And so it's just so sad. It's just so sad. It just really touched my heart, connected with her so quickly. I think at the time, my granddaughter was probably about the same age as this young soul. And so yeah, instant connection with her. And so we did all work with her, and called in her parents and her angels and everyone to please come help her and assure her that it's safe to go over. She's not going to be punished. She is not guilty of anything. And so that took a little bit. And then she did cross over. And probably, I don't know, a year and a half ago or something, she appeared again. And we were sitting in circle again. And all of a sudden I felt a little hand on top of mine, and do a little check-in. And I think I said something to you. And you said, Jackie, that's that little girl. And sure enough, and she stood there by me and held my hand for so long that my entire body was freezing cold. And I finally had to, apologize to her and withdraw my hand from hers, because I was so cold. I was like getting shivers. I was that freezing. It's like sitting on an ice block, basically.
Yeah.
So anyways, but she stood there for the entire evening. And then we all talked to her, at the end when we were done with the main part of our spirit circle, and gave hugs and love, and then she left again. But it's just, she just wanted to come see us, and just another thank you. And just that attachment just formed the instant bond.
It was special. It really was.
So I get a little, I'm teary enough right now to say.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So we have stories like that is just really heartwarming. And hey.
Yes.
And then others that, we love assisting people.
Yep.
But maybe it's just different stories. Everyone has a story, right?
I can bring up one that I think of, that one Saturday I had done a psychic medium reading for a gentleman, and he was wearing a paranormal shirt. And so I said to him, "Oh, you're a paranormal investigator," just kind of chit chat, things like that. So then during his reading, I was getting information of his investigation that he had gone on. So I was explaining the house that he had gone and done the investigation in, the woman that had died, all the information from there. So the following Tuesday, we're meeting in circle, and the woman that was from the house that he had done the investigation in showed up. So we did cross her over, but I was just very surprised that from the reading that I gave, that she showed up. And I guess probably is because I had already developed a connection with her, seeing what had happened to her. She had taken her own life. But for her to show up on Tuesday, and eventually it took a little bit for her because she blamed herself, because she had accidentally killed this family by poisoning them with food. And of course, like I said, it was an accident. So she blamed herself. So there's another example of spirits staying earthbound because they blame themselves, they have guilt, so they don't cross over. So that was just, another example of, my experience with the spirit.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Hey, a joint experience with us when we were doing a joint house clearing
Mm-hmm.
for a couple. Yeah. There was two two spirits there, and wow, something that happened in life is continuing in
Yes.
spirit, and it was not good at all
Mhm.
for the female spirit.
Yes.
Very much a victim.
Mm-hmm.
And the male was, even though he was in spirit, he maintained his personality, being very aggressive and continuing his harmful tendencies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He was so mad at Diane and me for working with the female spirit
Yes.
to have her go home.
Mm-hmm.
He was blocking our way to enter certain rooms after he had chased her in there,
Mm-hmm.
keeping us from entering, trying to physically block us.
Couldn't even open up the door.
Couldn't-
That's what, as much as he was doing,
Mhm.
physically was unable to open the door.
Yeah. Yeah. So eventually it took us a little bit.
Yes.
But we did help her.
Yes.
She did,
Yes.
make her transition home.
Mm-hmm.
And he was so not happy with us.
Yes. But
I mean, he was very aggressive towards us, even like
Mhm.
rushing into us and stuff,
Mhm.
and like Diane said, blocking the
Yeah.
doors. So we
Yeah.
couldn't even open a door into a
Yeah.
room.
Yep.
And we ended up, we did the work we had to do.
Yes.
He was just proving a challenge for us at first, right? He
Definitely.
wasn't going to go down easy.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. He didn't want us to help her.
Mhm.
Definitely. It was, he was making his point for sure.
Yeah.
But
yeah, he thought it was like she was his property, basically,
Mhm.
is the way he felt. That was what
Mhm.
the feeling he was giving us. He owned her, and it wasn't like in a slave type
No.
relationship, but it was just like, she was the woman and he felt like he owned her that
Mhm.
way, and so he was just going to continue with his abuse even in spirit.
Mhm. Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't know when we, have spirit arrive. We don't know all the information, so we don't know what we're going to be, who we're going to be helping, who
Yeah.
we're going to come in contact with or anything. So you just don't know, but we're prepared, and like we say, we're here to help them. So at the end of the day, we're just here to help them.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
usually we're given a little bit of insight when we're traveling to a location.
Yeah.
Our guides will be giving us a little bit of insight, that it's not going to be like an easy clearing, or,
Yeah.
how
Yes.
many spirits are there, stuff like that.
Mhm.
So anyways, it wasn't a complete surprise for us. However,
Yeah.
being physically
Yes.
blocked from entering a room, that was new.
That was.
Yeah.
Yes.
So-
That was.
Yeah.
That was quite a surprise.
Mhm. Yes. Yes.
So, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay. Something fun. At least I think it's fun.
Mhm.
Okay.
It is.
Recently, I would say, how long, like 6 months ago or so, something like that.
Mhm.
We were at a neighboring town
Mhm.
from us, and this town is an old like mining town, silver mining,
Mhm.
from back in the day. And so he had this younger man. He's in his 20s, and boy, such a charmer. Definitely a ladies' man when he was alive, tell you that. And he wasn't going to not show his face or his full physical self to us, because you're going to be impressed, ladies.
Yeah.
So, because sometimes spirit is kind of evasive about their what they physically looked like in their,
Yes.
you know, before they died. And we get, you know, bits of information and stuff like that. He was showing himself in his full glory, and very proud of his physical looks, and you know, dimples and all. And he so anyways, he had no interest in crossing over. He's been having fun.
Too much fun. Yes.
Lots of fun.
Mhm.
And he just wanted to hang out and talk and all of that. So we were surprised a few months ago when he appeared here.
Yes.
Diane and I were actively working with a couple of spirit to help get them crossed over. And so he appeared, and we're like, oh. So when we were done working with who we were working with, we looked over at him. We're like, so are you ready now to go home? And he's like, no, I'm just here to say hi. So it was just funny. He just wanted to pop in and just let himself, hey, I'm still around. And you know,
yeah,
look at me.
Yep, that's right.
So he's fun. He's a fun guy.
Yeah.
And so anyways, I'm sure he'll be popping back again sometime.
No doubt.
Right.
No doubt.
Yeah.
He'll be back.
Yeah. He has no interest right now. He's enjoying being in spirit, being here on the earth plane, and just going wherever he wants to go and seeing who he wants to see. And so he just, you know, maybe eventually he'll come to the point where he's ready to go, and
he will.
And
he will in his good time and when he's ready. But he just, like you said, he's just enjoying things now. You know.
Yeah. And time is different too for
Yes.
those in spirit than it is for us being in bodies. You know, it's not like, 10 years from now, whatever. It could be a blink of an eye,
Right.
you know, to those in spirit from what we were told.
Yep.
So
Yep,
you
very
never
true.
know.
No, not at all.
Never know. Never know.
Not at all.
Let's see. I wrote some notes so we wouldn't forget. Okay, Diane and I have helped murder victims to cross over. And there's, you know, the reasons like we gave you above, you know, like there's hurt or anger or fear why they don't cross over. I would say some in spirit who didn't cross over that were victims are held in anger for what happened to them. And not every medium does this, wants to do that, or is able to do that from what we understand. But Diana, we fully open ourselves up to experience what these victims have experienced, just to help better understand and to 100% clarify for the spirit themselves. You know, so we could say, yes, I know now what happened to you. And sometimes it's happened with, you know, cold case files.
Yes.
Like family members will have brought us stuff, clothing items or personal effects of the person that maybe they're still missing, or investigations aren't going as quickly as they want. So we have done those. And like I said, not every medium, first of all, even is open to doing that. And not, I think, at least among the mediums that we spirit personally know, we're the only two that fully open to experiencing everything, the good and the bad of it. And our experiencing can be tasting things, feeling things, hearing things. It's been sometimes challenging for us to, once we're done working with that person, sometimes it takes us a while to like kind of decompress because of the intensity that some people have had to go through. So sometimes it's been feeling the gunshots or the stabbing. Recently, it was like 6 weeks ago, we helped a couple of people, and one was from many years back. Her husband was very abusive, and he ended her life by using a pipe on her head. So after I was working with her, Diane was working with another spirit, and after the third blow, I was feeling a migraine. So I'm like, I got it, no more. I don't want to feel any more of that. So I had to draw my line on that one. I just know that it didn't stop there, for her. After the third blow, it was still continuing. I just had to draw my line. I didn't want to feel that anymore, because that was, it was bad. I had like a migraine for a while after that. It took a while to fully unwind, and for me, asking my guys help. Okay, let's take this. Is it my energy now? Let's get rid of this. And so do that. So we work with spirit, and also like for crime victims, like we've even been given, the clothing or purses or wallets, and any jewelry.
Jewelry. It's just gonna say a lot of jewelry that we'll get.
Yeah. Yeah. So
yes, and it's we experience what we experience on the physical, but it makes us, I feel that it gives us a better connection to the spirit that's crossing over, so that we understand. There's such a better understanding of, unfortunately, what they went through or what they experienced. And it just helps us to help cross them over. So it really does help.
Yeah. And a lot of times we get the background. If it wasn't some like random
Right.
event, we'll be shown the background leading up to this event. What was going on in a relationship, say, or some like a envy, or
yes,
you could think of any human experience, right, that might lead to someone really overreacting and want to kill somebody.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
greed.
Oh, very much so. Yes,
It's
definitely.
my money, not yours.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
And and then here, we're based in the Las Vegas, Nevada Valley, and I'm sure everyone hears the stories of the mob from back in the day. And so there's some stories with that, and feeling things, since we're so sensitive.
Oh,
and I know recently there's been stories about bodies surfacing and in Lake Mead, and it's like, well, that's not a news flash for us.
yes, exactly.
There was even, I think, last year sometime at night, on a motorcycle, and we're driving through the desert surrounding Lake Mead, going a back road, and I started feeling the energy shift, and then started feeling like I was going to be, I started getting really nauseous, really, really nauseous. And so I asked my husband to slow down, of all things, slow down so I can feel this more, and he's like, what's going on? And so I said, oh, there's a lot of dead people out here. And he's like, of course there is. Look where we are, and I'm like, that. He goes, are you seeing them too? And I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of just the dead body energy out here, but there are some appearing as well as we're, riding along. But it was this being sensitive really over it, and took me a while, even after I came home, just to kind of, ask for that energy to be released and not feel it, because I was definitely super nauseous just from all the, I guess, dead energy. Basically, it's just like a, how to describe it, it's because it was so, I guess, intense. It was so intense because there were so many,
sure,
so many. It's almost like sometimes going to a cemetery, I might get the same feeling. Especially I went to a military of a young Marine, his funeral one time, and so I was buried at the Veterans Cemetery. It was intense there too, however, for a good reason.
Mhm.
It was not only you get the emotions from friends and family there for the recently deceased, but then you get the souls from all of these other military veterans coming to welcome home this new soldier.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's very at least for me,
No,
I
it
get
is.
I get very emotional about it.
Mhm.
And so it's like both spectrums, the sadness, the grief, and then the the respect, and it's like the former military people are
Mhm.
there welcoming home the
Yeah.
new soldier,
Yes.
and they're paying homage to
Mhm.
him. You see, well, I see
Mhm.
them
Yeah.
like they're appearing for
Mhm.
me to see them as in their full military uniforms, and they're saluting.
Mhm.
And that always gets me.
Mhm. Mhm. It is. It's
Yeah.
it's wonderful to see. Like you
Mhm.
say, we can see it, but it's wonderful for us.
Yeah.
It is
Mhm.
something else to see.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, I don't help. I kind of got off subject there, just but we weren't helping cross spirit over in that sense. But there's never a time Diane and I are together, whether we're out in town or here recording, that we don't have at least a few visitors in spirit.
Mhm.
Some are just popping in and checking us out or saying hi, and others, they want our
True.
assistance.
Mhm.
And we've Diane mentioned earlier, we already have spirit visitors here waiting for us to end.
So,
So we'll see what's going on
yes.
once we open that door. We
Open it up and see
see who's there.
who's
Yeah,
there.
we had to draw that line because they were coming in anyways
Mhm.
before, thus the equipment issues and
Mhm.
stuff. And so I think it was Diane who finally said, "Okay, this if the door is shut, our office door is shut, please do not enter until we open it up, and that's your sign that
Mhm.
we're ready
Yeah.
and can communicate with you."
Mhm.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Gosh, I think we did everything.
I think we've pretty much talked about
Yeah.
everything that we wanted to talk about and share our experiences with you and understand a little bit about why spirits stay earthbound and
Mhm.
understand it. Because I know that there's a lot of questions regarding that subject. People will ask that a lot. So
Yeah.
hope that we've helped you a little bit and you've enjoyed some of our experience, our stories that we've told you. And please feel free to check us out on social media.
Yeah.
Look for our websites
Yeah.
and check out our other issues of podcasts.
Yep.
Okay.
That would be great.
All
All
right.
right. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us today. Listen in again next week for our latest episode, and be sure to check us out on YouTube as well as our social media pages.